not seen John with that kind of energy, especially on the floor.
Yeah.
So on the floor, it's generally a little more tempered and whatnot. But look, that kind of energy is what's needed when leaders are not pulling people into a room to have a conversation. And I shared this on the floor last night. Senator Thune, who represents South Dakota, he comes from an ag state too, a farming state, a lot of cattle ranchers, and New Mexico ag state. So I shared with him, we had this former governor, Bruce King, cattle rancher, may he rest in peace, that when he was governor, he would often just tell folks, if people can't figure things out, you lock them up in a barn and you don't let them out till they figure things out. Well, a lot of people across the country probably thought, what the hell is Ben Ray saying? The people in South Dakota knew what I was saying, and the people in New Mexico knew what I was saying. The other thing I shared with Leader Thune is, with power, with the majority comes responsibility. Leader Thune during that exchange said, when there was a Democratic president, Democratic majorities, that Republicans voted 13 times to prevent a government shutdown. Yeah, there was not a government shutdown. And many of my Democratic constituents, more progressive constituents, would argue during those times that Democrats gave away way too much to Republicans to prevent a shutdown. Well, when you're negotiating, you have to work to come up to secure the votes to get things done. Now, that's all inside baseball, and that's the sausage making. What needs to happen? There are over 75 House Republicans now, while they're home across the country, because they've been home for, 30, 40 days, that have said to the media when they're doing interviews that something needs to be done to ensure that health insurance premiums aren't going to double or triple for their constituents. I don't know if Speaker Johnson wants to keep them home because of the Epstein files, or I don't know if he wants to keep them home because if they get here, he's got 75 to 100 Republicans that are going to go do interviews and say something has to be done and the conversation will change.